I disguised myself as a maid, snuck into the villa, ready to sneak my elder sister away. The front gate was just steps away, but Shinwaning tore her hand free from mine, sobbing loudly, "Little sister, you go on without me. I can't drag you and brother down." At the top of the stairs, the overbearing tyrant licked his lips, his voice cold and menacing. "Anyone who tries to tear us apart deserves to die." Our brother, waiting to pick us up by the gate, was dragged out of his car and had one leg broken. My eyes were gouged blind. Shinwaning huddled trembling in the tyrant's arms, tears welling in her eyes. "Please spare them. I'll agree to anything you want." Yet a triumphant smirk tugged at the corner of her eye. The tyrant wiped her tears tenderly. "Fine. As long as you stay obedient." My brother and I were dumped halfway up a mountain, left to die. He clutched my hand tight, murmuring brokenly, "Why? We could have escaped for good." Though blind, I saw everything crystal clear. Because we were doomed to fail, only then could my sister play the noble, self-sacrificing heroine. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day we'd planned our escape. Sang, "You really came to save me. I knew I never loved you for nothing." Shinwaning squeezed my hand tight, her eyes sparkling with barely contained excitement. Blazing sunlight fell across my eyes, a faint ache throbbing in my sockets. I rolled my eyeballs, hot tears spilling down my cheeks. My eyes were still here, unharmed. Shinwaning pulled me into a tight hug, choking up. "Don't cry. Sang. Our whole family will be reunited soon." "Is brother here?" I balled my fists, forcing a shaky voice. "He's waiting right outside the gate." Shinwaning glanced at the wall clock, face alight with glee. "Perfect. Once Jo Suhan falls asleep, we leave." I cut her off abruptly, staring straight into her eyes. "Just following the plot, aren't you?" Shinwaning froze, laughing awkwardly. "What plot? Are you worn out?" I'd never understood. How could Shinwaning be so cruel? When we were 7, our parents died in a car crash, leaving the 3 of us to fend for ourselves. Brother tore up his university admission letter, acting nonchalant. College degrees aren't worth much these days. Hauling bricks pays easier cash. Every penny for my and Shinwaning's high school tuition was earned by brother, laying brick after brick under the sun. I was never as sharp a student as Shinwaning. After high school, I went straight into a factory job. Brother and I scraped by to fund her through college. But on her graduation day, Jo Suhan set his sights on her and locked her away. No matter how powerful Jo Suhan was, no matter how ordinary and powerless brother and I were, we couldn't bear to watch her suffer humiliation. And how did Shinwaning repay us? She mapped out the escape route herself, swearing it was foolproof. Yet at the final hurdle, she crushed our hope with her own 2 hands. She tossed brother and me into the abyss, then played the benevolent victim, begging Jo Suhan to spare our lives. I'd once thought she was just timid and foolish. Only after I died did I grasp the truth. The world I lived in was a novel, a toxic, overbearing CEO romance. Brother and I were nothing more than cannon fodder. Our lives a tragic backdrop to amplify the main couple's twisted love story. In the end, the hero and heroine buried their blood feud and lived happily ever after. Brother and I were just props, toys for their sick love game. How could Shinwaning ever feel genuine affection for disposable pawns like us? Shinwaning stroked my hair with a fake soft smile. "Get ready. We leave at 8. She pressed a front gate key into my palm. No trace of real warmth lingered in that grin. I took the key and smiled back. "Sister, you'll get exactly what you wish for." The bedroom door swung open. Jo Suhan stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. Shinwaning jumped up at once to steady him. "Why did you drink so much? You know your stomach can't handle it." I watched their intertwined hands closely. Had Jo Suhan really taken Shinwaning captive by random chance? Jo Suhan sneered, pinching her chin hard, pretending to care about me. "You slut, tell me, is Xia Xian still on your mind?" Before the door clicked shut, I caught Shinwaning tilt her chin up defiantly. "Jo Suhan, you've lost your mind." Her eyes glistened red. like a delicate white blossom battered by a violent storm. Moments later, the sound of fabric tearing echoed from the room, a repulsive, suffocating possessiveness. I headed to the kitchen to cook, my mind replaying the name Xiaxian over and over, like every overbearing CEO novel. Xiaxian was the kind-hearted, pining second male lead, upright and gentle, the complete opposite of the ruthless male protagonist, Zhou Sihan. What had become of him in the original plot? When Zhou Sihan's first love returned overseas, Qin Wanning fled to Xiaxian. Heartbroken, Xiaxian welcomed her with open arms, overjoyed. But Qin Wanning stole Xia's newly developed miracle drug and handed it straight to Zhou Sihan, driving the once thriving Xia group to the brink of collapse. It had all been Zhou Sihan's scheme. Using Qin Wanning as bait to swallow Xia's empire without lifting a finger, Qin Wanning had begged Xiaxian through tears afterward. Zhou Sihan said this was all just a game. I didn't mean to hurt you. Xiaxian lost everything: his family, his fortune, his home. He froze to death alone on a pedestrian overpass on New Year's Eve. That very same day, Qin Wanning and Zhou Sihan held their lavish, headline-making wedding. She forgot the man who died freezing in the cold just as easily as she forgot brother and me. Left for dead halfway up a mountain. This injustice couldn't stand. I would make Qin Wanning and Zhou Sihan pay with their blood. Sang. Your hand's bleeding. Aunt Wu gasped, grabbing my injured hand and blowing gently on the cut. Does it hurt? I snapped out of my vengeful daze. Hatred had clouded my senses, and I'd sliced my palm by accident while chopping vegetables. I shook my head quietly. It's nothing. Aunt Wu chided me softly. Worried. Don't scar your pretty hands. Go rest in the living room, I'll finish cooking. I couldn't refuse, so I headed downstairs to the lounge. Half an hour later, Aunt Wu carried 3 dishes and a soup upstairs. As she passed me, she whispered, I left a bowl of chicken broth for you in the kitchen. You're far too skinny. My heart warmed. Thank you, Aunt Wu. Seconds later, the crash of ceramic shattering echoed from the second floor. Aunt Wu came tumbling down the stairs. Scalding soup splattered all over her skin, blisters bubbling instantly across her arms and chest. Zhou Sihan's face was black with rage. Who told you to barge in and ruin our moment? Qin Wanning huddled behind him, wrapped only in a bedsheet, whimpering. He saw my body. I can't live with this shame. Zhou Sihan pulled her close, murmuring soothingly, shall I gouge her eyes out for you? Aunt Wu scrambled upright, terrified. Sir, you ordered dinner delivered sharp at 6. You said if we were late, we'd all die alongside Miss Shin. I only followed your orders. A swollen bruise bloomed on her forehead. Soup dripping from her clothes, stripped of all dignity. Was this what ordinary people's lives looked like in these overbearing CEO novels? Qin Wanning tugged Zhou Sihan's sleeve, trembling. Don't hurt her. I'm scared. Cut her wages for 2 months instead. Zhou Sihan ruffled her hair, smiling indulgently. Anything for my kind. Sweet Ningning. Aunt Wu crumpled to the floor, ashen-faced. No, sir. Please don't dock my pay. My daughter needs money for her medicine. Beat me. Yell at me, anything but that. Zhou Sihan ignored her cries entirely, sweeping Qin Wanning back into their bedroom. I knelt to help Aunt Wu up, speaking softly. Don't worry, Aunt Wu. I have money. I'll cover your daughter's bills. Aunt Wu's eyes flooded with tears. Thank you. Sang. I'll pay you back once I get my paycheck. I stared at the closed bedroom door upstairs. Zhou Sihan would never get the chance to pay anyone's wages again. I would fight this numb, heartless plot with everything I had. Even an ant can shake a towering tree. At 8 that night, Qin Wanning slipped into my room, barely containing her excitement. Zhou Sihan's asleep. Let's go. I gripped her hand, grinning brightly. Let's go. Qin Wanning kept glancing over her shoulder the whole way. In my past life, I thought she feared Zhou Sihan waking up and catching us. Now I knew the truth. She was desperate for him to find us. The front gate loomed inches away. Qin Wanning ripped her arm free and shouted, Little sister, you. I clamped a hand over her mouth and yelled louder. How could you run away when Mr. Joe treats you so well. Sister, I'm so disappointed in you. Shin Wanning flailed, eyes wide with terror. Joe Sahan stepped toward me, shock flickering across his face. You're not here to tear us apart. I let go of Shin Wanning, tears pouring down my cheeks. Mr. Joe, I was sent to spy on her. You feed her, clothe her, give her everything. Yet all she craves is to run away. She's so ungrateful. Joe Sahan raised an eyebrow, his tone sharp and dangerous. Lucky for you, you've come to your senses. A chill ran down my spine. It hadn't been a coincidence at all. Joe Sahan had known my relation to Shin Wanning the second I stepped foot in the villa. Shin Wanning's eyes reddened, voice quivering. My brother cares about me. He's waiting for me outside the gate. Joe Sahan let out a mocking whistle and waved his hand. The next instant, brother was dragged kicking and screaming into the courtyard. Sweat beaded my palms. Shin Wanning's eyes brimmed with fake tears as she grabbed Joe Sahan's sleeve. Let my brother go, please. Joe Sahan paid her no mind. Brother struggled, calling out, brother-in-law. Is this how you treat your future brother-in-law? Shin Wanning's sobs cut short. She stared at him in stunned disbelief. Joe Sahan froze, a mix of surprise, cold disdain, and faint joy flickering in his gaze. What did you just call me? Brother brushed dust off his clothes and walked over to Shin Wanning, lecturing her earnestly. Wanning, stop throwing a fit. Your husband's handsome and wealthy. Why waste energy running away? Shin Wanning's mouth fell open, gaze darting wildly between brother and me. No. That's not how it was supposed to go. You were meant to take me away and then get. She snapped her mouth shut mid-sentence, her shaking frame betraying her panic. One tiny deviation from the script and she's already unraveling. How will she cope with what's coming? I forced fresh tears, pulling out my phone and handing it to Joe Sahan. The screen showed chat logs between Shin Wanning and me. Brother-in-law. Brother and I both support you and Sister Wanning's relationship. But Sister refuses to accept it. Begged us to sneak her away to run off with Xiaxian. We came today to talk her into staying by your side. Joe Sahan's fingers dragged across the screen, his expression growing darker by the second. To convince brother and me to help her escape. Shin Wanning had spun a tragic tale. She'd loved Xiaxian deeply, only to be stolen and trapped by force by Joe Sahan. Her words had sounded so sincere, so pitiful. Brother and I had swallowed every lie. Joe Sahan had too. With a savage crack, he crushed the phone beneath his boot. A torrential downpour burst from the sky, thunder crashing and lightning splitting the clouds. Joe Sahan seized Shin Wanning's jaw, sneering. You love Xiaxian. Shin Wanning trembled, stammering. Joe Sahan, calm down. Joe Sahan pulled a rattan whip out of nowhere and lashed it against her over and over, each blow harder than the last. You're mine. Pain's the only way you'll learn your lesson. Rainwater mixed with blood pooled across the stone pavement. Shin Wanning screamed shrilly. My shoulders shook, fighting to hold back a laugh. Wasn't this the classic hurtful, obsessive CEO love trope? The plot's cruelty boomeranging straight back onto its leading lady. How does it taste? Shin Wanning. I glanced up at the full moon hanging in the sky. It was the 15th day of the lunar month, a day meant for family reunions. In my past life, brother and I had raced over full of hope to bring Shin Wanning home, only to end up with nothing but shattered dreams and a slow, freezing death in the autumn rain. Minutes later, Shin Wanning collapsed, covered in lacerations, blood trickling from her mouth. Joe Sahan tossed the whip aside, scrambling to lift her into his arms in a panic. Ning Ning, don't scare me. I didn't mean it. Where's the doctor? Fetch him. No, if she dies, everyone here dies with us. Of course Shin Wanning wouldn't die, but the whip had left hideous, permanent scars across her face. To my shock, Joe Sahan breathed a quiet sigh of relief, a twisted dark smile glinting in his eyes. Now no one but me will want you. Ning Ning, stay good and stay with me, okay? Shin Wanning lay unconscious, unable to answer. Joe Sahan turned to me, voice low and heavy. Keep working here. Talk some sense into her. Do this well, and you'll be richly rewarded. I bowed my head in obedience. Brother stepped forward, fake tears streaming down his face. Brother-in-law. We're a family, we should all stay together in harmony. Jo Sehan fell silent for a beat, then said flatly, you can stay too. You'll be my personal driver. I cut in timely. Brother-in-law. We should install security cameras around the villa. Suspicion flickered in Jo Sehan's eyes. I explained smoothly. If sister tries to run again, you'll spot it instantly. His gaze turned murky as he brushed a finger over Shinwaning's split lip. There won't be a next time. After a pause, he nodded faintly. Put them in. I ducked my head to hide the burning hatred in my eyes. Had my blood and brother's leg been the only lives stained within these villa walls? When Shinwaning woke, she smashed every mirror in sight. My face. Look what happened to my face. Aunt Wu tried to step forward. Miss, be careful and hurt yourself further. I grabbed Aunt Wu's arm and shook my head to stop her. Shinwaning whirled around, screaming and lunging straight for me. This is all your fault. Why did you betray me? Why didn't you follow the plan? I'd asked her the same question once. Lifetimes ago. Back then she'd buried her face in her hands and wept. I was scared Jo Sehan would catch us. Now I drew my arm back and slapped her hard across the cheek. Shinwaning crashed to the floor, staring up at me in utter shock. I squeezed out fake sobs, choking out, sister, wake up. If Jo Sehan caught us running, he would have killed brother and me without a second thought. Her eyes blazed with rage. Our plan was flawless. How could it fail? The plan had never been flawless. Failure had been preordained from the start. Jo Sehan had known every detail all along. But brothers and my fate hadn't been set in stone. In our past life, Shinwaning had shoved us straight into ruin without a single thought of saving us. Her pleas for mercy hadn't been for our lives, they'd been for her scripted forced love arc. Thankfully, this lifetime we'd pulled ourselves back from the brink of destruction. I sighed, feigning grief. Jo Sehan knew everything from the start. He let us plot just to toy with us. Sister, your right doesn't love you at all. He sees you as nothing more than a pet, a toy to lock away. Shinwaning shook her head violently, instinctively arguing back. No. He loves me. Her frantic movements split open her whip wounds, fresh blood seeping through the scabs, turning her into a tattered, broken rag doll. I stared at her, confusion swirling in my chest. Was Shinwaning truly the novel's heroine? Did being adored by the ruthless male lead equal a happy ending? Could that toxic possession ever count as love? Aunt Wu stepped in softly. Miss, Sir Kaladi wants you at an auction tonight. Shinwaning wiped her tears, color flooding her pale cheeks. He loves me. Tonight he'll announce I'm his future Mrs. Jo. After I died, I'd watched Shinwaning's so-called perfect ending play out. Racked with fake grief over brother and my deaths, Jo Sehan had drowned his guilt in grand gestures, dragging her to the auction where he'd bid on a 10-carat pink diamond and dropped to one knee to propose publicly. Shinwaning had wiped her crocodile tears and stretched out her hand at once, simpering. Sehan, promise you'll stop losing your temper from now on. He gets so scared. They'd embraced passionately, barely 24 hours after brother and I had died cold in the mountains. Our bodies might still have held warmth. Yet Shinwaning had already fallen back into Jo Sehan's bed without a second's remorse. I watched her slather layer after layer of foundation across her scarred skin at the vanity table, the bottle half empty yet unable to fully hide the ugly whip marks twisting from her temple to her jaw. I wondered how Jo Sehan would stomach her now and how he'd act in front of high society. Was their love truly unbreakable, no matter her appearance? Before we stepped inside the ballroom, Shinwaning clutched my wrist, nervous. Sang, do I look pretty? Once, as the novel's flawless heroine, her beauty had been unmatched, delicate, innocent, big dewy apricot eyes that made everyone want to shield her. But now jagged scars marred her perfect features, grotesque and unmissable. I scanned her slowly, speaking flatly, very eye-catching. She exhaled in relief, lifting her scarlet gown's hem and pushing open the ballroom doors. Chatter died instantly across the packed hall. Jo Sehan strode forward and took her hand. Ning Ning. You look stunning tonight. Murmurs erupted from the crowd. What's wrong with Zhou's taste? Zhou Sihan's brows slammed down, barking. Speak one more word and you'll regret it for the rest of your lives. A faint flush returned to Xinwaning's pale face, but I spotted his grip on her hand loosen almost imperceptibly. I wandered off to search for Xia Xian. I knew he was meant to attend this auction too. I wandered half the venue, ill-fitting high heels rubbing raw blisters on my heels. Every step stung, but I feared no one would stand up to Zhou Sihan without Xia Xian's power. At last I spotted him by the fountain, drinking alone under the bright moonlight. Sharp, angular features shadowed by melancholy. The picture of a man broken by unrequited love. I took a deep breath and approached quietly. Mr. Xia, I have a deal to propose. Xia Xian glanced up, surprised. You're Xinwaning's sister. You two look nearly identical. I nodded, cutting straight to the point. Mr. Xia, do you want my sister back? I can help you take her from Zhou Sihan. The plot had propped Xinwaning up as the beloved heroine, but I could twist that power to serve my own ends. And maybe save Xia Xian too. Xia Xian's gaze darkened. No reply coming. Water splashed against the fountain stone, the only sound breaking the silence. Sweat dampened my back, cold wind plastering my dress tight to my skin. Sticky and uncomfortable. After a long pause, Xia Xian let out a faint laugh. How exactly do you plan to help me take down Zhou Sihan? A weight lifted off my chest. I recited the carefully rehearsed plan I'd memorized. Your Xia Group's lawsuit over the new drug. Someone tampered with the trial results to frame it as toxic. The key witness was forced to lie. His little sister's being held hostage in apartment 404, Block A. Xingfu Estate. Xia Xian's expression turned sharp and grave. Miss Xin, choose your words carefully. I ignored his wary glare and pressed on. The drug itself is safe. Zhou Sihan kidnapped the girl to blackmail the witness into lying against your company. Did Zhou Sihan kidnap her? Xia Xian tapped his glass slowly, each word deliberate. How do you know this? I stuck to my prepared story. My brother works as Zhou Sihan's driver. I know every move he makes. Send someone to check the apartment. You'll see I'm telling the truth. In the original novel, this lawsuit had been the Xia Group's fatal turning point. Losing the case ruined their century-old reputation, sent their stock plummeting, and left them vulnerable to Zhou Sihan's hostile takeover. Xia Xian knew his family couldn't afford to lose. Xia Xian studied me for a long moment, then lifted an eyebrow. What do you want in return? I smiled faintly. My sister loves you. I just want the two people meant for each other to be together. Xia Xian chuckled, eyes shadowed with doubt. I don't trade in love. Name another price. I hesitated, then tested the waters. 5% of Xia Group's shares. Enough to let brother and me live comfortably for 3 generations. Xia Xian nodded at once. Agreed. By the time we returned to the ballroom, the auction was winding down. The massive pink diamond sat glowing in its display case, waiting for its owner. Zhou Sihan leaned toward Xinwaning, voice soft. Do you like it? I'll buy it for you. Xinwaning stared at the floor, tone flat. Whatever. He pinched her nose playfully, tone indulgent. I'll get it for you no matter what. I watched coldly as Zhou Sihan raised his paddle 10 times in a row, deliberately flaunting his wealth to broadcast to every guest that Xinwaning was his prized treasure. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Zhou's throwing millions away for that woman. Doesn't he care how ridiculous he looks? Zhou Sihan's hand trembled mid-paddle, his half-kneeling proposal stance freezing up. Xinwaning suddenly sneered. I won't marry you. His face turned icy, voice dripping venom. You have no choice. You belong only to me. So confident in his supposed love, yet still so insecure he resorted to force. What a pathetic display of manipulation. This time, Zhou Sihan forced the diamond ring onto Xinwaning's finger. No warm embrace. No well-wishingly, a unified gasp rippling through the crowd. A waiter walked over to me, holding out 2 adhesive bandages. Miss Xin sang, Mr. Xia sent these for you. I glanced across the room to Xia Xian, who raised his glass to me silently, mouthing a message. My partner needs steady feet. I took the bandages and nodded my thanks. I hoped Xie Xian wouldn't be fooled by Shen Wanning again this lifetime, hoped he'd survive and thrive. Shen Wanning had gotten what she'd craved all along. The title of Mrs. Zhou. Yet she was far from happy. Back at the villa, she flew into a violent rage, smashing every piece of furniture she could reach. I didn't do anything wrong. Zhou Sihan's the one tormenting me. Why does everyone call me a gold digger? A shattered phone screen showed a blazing news headline. Zhou Sihan proposes scarred, disfigured woman. The comment section was filled with vicious, cruel insults. A stark contrast to the glowing praise her engagement had earned in my past life. I normally hated body-shaming anyone, but seeing Shen Wanning suffer this humiliation felt deeply satisfying. Aunt Wu panicked, rushing around staring at the wreckage. That vase cost a fortune. My brand new phone. And that jade necklace. Sang. Go calm your sister down. I knelt quickly, scooping a solid gold ring off the floor. Relax, it's not our money going to waste. I pressed the ring into Aunt Wu's palm firmly. Take this as your monthly wage. Aunt Wu flustered, trying to push it back. I couldn't possibly accept this. I fixed her with a stern look. Consider it compensation for the medical bills you deserve after he scalded you with soup. Your forehead's still swollen. I closed her fingers around the ring, leaving no room for argument. The villa door slammed open. Zhou Sihan stormed inside, grabbing Shen Wanning roughly by the arm and roaring. What did you say to Xie Xian? How did my hostage get rescued? Shen Wanning looked utterly confused. What hostage? Zhou Sihan sneered. You exchanged secret glances with him last night. And now Xie Xian's stolen Ye Ziyuth witnesses sister I locked up. It clicked for me at last. The kidnapped girl was Nie Xiaoyu. Xie Xian had acted fast to free her. Shen Wanning's face drained of color. That wasn't how the script was meant to go. This wasn't supposed to happen. Zhou Sihan squeezed her wrist so hard her bones creaked, growling. Shen Wanning. You've disappointed me beyond words. Shen Wanning's head shot up, pointing a trembling finger at brother and me, screaming. It's their fault. They snitched. A sharp slap cracked across her cheek, blood spilling from the corner of her mouth. Her face swelling instantly. Zhou Sihan flexed his knuckles, shouting. Enough. They've only been here 2 days, what could they possibly know? How could you sink so low as to shift blame and twist the truth? I barely recognize you anymore. Brother watched Shen Wanning's downfall with quiet satisfaction glinting in his eyes. Logically speaking, brother and I had no motive or timeline to be suspected of leaking information, but we were souls who'd already died once. Every scrap of intel we held had been paid for with my blinded eyes. His broken leg. And both our lives. Besides, messy misunderstandings were the backbone of every trashy, overbearing CEO novel. Shen Wanning should have known that. Zhou Sihan's chest heaved with rage, barking an order at her. Make up for your mistakes, steal Xie Xian's new drug formula and bring it to me. I blinked in surprise. Hundreds of chapters of torturous back and forth had been skipped entirely, jumping straight to the climax conflict. Shen Wanning's eyes turned red, lifting her chin stubbornly. I won't do it. Just like my past life. Zhou Sihan's expression turned lethal, fingers clamping tight around her throat. Are you that head over heels for Xie Xian? Then choose for him ruin or death. He clapped his hands, and men dragged a bloodied man into the room, barely recognizable beneath his wounds. Shen Wanning shrieked and stumbled backward in terror. Zhou Sihan forced her hand to grip a blade, driving it into the man's body over and over. Do you know who this is? The youngest son of the Ji family. They doted on him endlessly. He dared mock you. Said you weren't worthy of me. Even a powerful political family like the Jis can't protect him. I can find scapegoats for any crime I commit. Tell me, how many knives do you think Xie Xian could survive? The man on the floor stopped twitching, blood pooling and spreading to my shoes. Aunt Wu had long ago fainted dead away. I fought to stop my body's violent trembling. Human life meant nothing to these people. Disposable as weeds. A warm weight settled over my right hand. I turned to meet brother's steady, calm gaze. Don't be afraid. Sang. I'm here. His eyes were calm as still spring water, instantly calming my racing heart. In my past life, this scene hadn't been quite so graphic. Zhou Sihan had worn Shenwaning down until she'd caved in humiliation and agreed to betray Xiaxian. This lifetime. Staring at the blood coating her palms. Shenwaning gagged violently. Zhou Sihan's dark expression deepened. I did all this for you. Waning. Don't let me down again. Shenwaning shook violently. Voice shaking with fear. I'll do it. Just promise you won't hurt Xiaxian. Yet a flicker of hidden joy shone deep in her eyes. I understood her motive perfectly. Once Zhou Sihan swallowed the Xie Group whole, he'd monopolize the global pharmaceutical market. Become the world's richest man. Untouchable above the law. More importantly, Xiaxian's suicide was scheduled for the exact day of Shenwaning and Zhou Sihan's wedding. Shenwaning was thrilled to skip the script's worst punishments: no humiliating bar work, no begging in the rain, no forced organ donation for Zhou Sihan's first love. Post-marriage, Zhou Sihan's scripted arc turned him into a doting, perfect husband. A life of easy luxury versus the pain of following the plot's original suffering. The choice had been obvious to her. Zhou Sihan stroked her hair soothingly, tone coaxing. Be thorough with your act, darling. Amidst the broken glass and blood, Zhou Sihan grabbed the only unshattered ashtray from the wreckage. Shenwaning squeezed her eyes shut, putting on a martyr's brave face. The next morning, I supported Shenwaning, swathed head toto in bandages. As we knocked on the Xie family's front door, Xiaxian answered, half asleep, circling her once over, dressed as a mummy for Halloween. Shenwaning choked on her spit, coughing violently for minutes before regaining her breath, putting on a hurt, wronged tone. Ashwan. How can you joke like that? I barely escaped Zhou Sihan's clutches to come find you. I'm terrified he'll drag me back. Can I stay here with you? Xiaxian's face was impassive as he nodded simply. You may. Once he'd stepped away. Shenwaning tilted her nose high and scoffed under her breath. Still nothing but a lovesick lapdog. One little gesture from me and he's wagging his tail. Pathetic. But I sensed something off. Xiaxian's reaction had been far too calm. As if he'd anticipated every move she'd make. Sang. What are you staring at? Fetch me a glass of water. I'm parched. Shenwaning snapped irritably, sneering. Gawk all you want. Xiaxian will never choose you. They'll always fall for me. I played along with a bland agreement. Sure. Of course. In the center of the living room hung a large framed photo. 16-year-old Xiaxian sat in a hospital gown, pale and frail yet eyes bright and alive, staring straight at the camera. I lost my parents in a car crash when I was 16. Xiaxian's quiet voice sounded beside me. I fell into severe depression and spent 2 years in a psychiatric ward. He spoke of 2 years of agonizing torment in 2 plain sentences. The familiar sandalwood scent wrapped around me. I turned to meet Xiaxian's deep, knowing eyes. I'm sorry I brought up painful memories. After a beat, Xiaxian smiled faintly. No need to apologize. I should thank you instead. The Xie lawsuit was dropped. And Zhou Sihan took a massive blow to his empire. He slid a signed share transfer contract across the coffee table toward me. I've already drawn up the paperwork signed now. I froze. Stunned. Was I really about to jump straight into wealth and security? A seaside mansion. Endless feasts. Freedom from endless exploitative factory shifts. I picked up the pen, hesitating. This is really mine. Xiaxian's lips curved upward, nodding. Happy partnership. My pen streaked bold signatures across the page. Your left hand. My hand jolted. The pen clattering onto the table. Does a left-hand signature not count? Xiaxian's gaze darkened, undercurrents swirling deep in his pupils. It counts perfectly. We've got a lot to talk about. He picked up the contract and turned to leave. His steps quick and unsteady. Surely 5% of his company couldn't hurt his finances that badly. Shenwaning stayed at the Xie mansion for a full week. Xiaxian waited on her hand and foot, cooking elaborate meals to win her favor. One lunchtime. Shenwaning stared at a charred plate of tomato scrambled eggs with a disgusted grimace. Ashwan. I can't eat this. Xiaxian shook his head, soft and insistent. You wasted away at Zhou's villa. Eat up every bite. He spooned the burnt eggs straight to her lips, leaving no room to refuse. A knock cut through the tension. Mr. Xia. Professor Zhang's here with the trial drug. He needs to discuss tomorrow's pharmaceutical innovation conference with you. Xia Xian sighed, setting the spoon down regretfully. Finish everything while I'm gone. Okay. I'll be right back. Shen Wanning stared at her spread of blackened potatoes, bloody marinated chicken feet, and raw pickled seafood, looking ready to cry. Only Shen Wanning and I remained in the living room. She muttered to herself, how long do I have to drag this act out? I refilled her teacup, timing my words perfectly. Joe just Caladi's demanding you steal the new drug formula today. He needs it to win tomorrow's conference. Also, brother said Joe's first love is flying back any day now. Shen Wanning stiffened. Trembling. No. In the original plot, Joe's first love had tortured Shen Wanning relentlessly. She shot to her feet, glaring at the closed study door. Don't worry. Ashwan, I'll never let Zhou Sihan hurt you. I held back an eye roll. Why did Shen Wanning always play the selfless, heroic martyr? She knew exactly who she was betraying, and who she was really doing it all for. That evening, Shen Wanning ordered fancy takeout and uncorked bottles of red wine. Dressing in a tight scarlet dress with curled waves, eyes dripping with seduction. Ashwan, a toast to your successful drug trial. Xia Xian downed his glass in one gulp. Moments later, his eyes grew unfocused, an unnatural flush spreading across his cheeks. Shen Wanning shoved me roughly. Get him up to the bedroom and lay him down. I'll grab the drug files. I bit my lip, feigning fright. What if Xia Xian wakes up? I'm scared I can't do this. Shen Wanning's face twisted with impatience. Don't be ungrateful. I'll cut you a share of the profits too, if anything goes wrong. I'll make Zhou protect you. She pushed me hard again and hurried upstairs to steal the documents. I braced Xia Xian against my chest, a faint smirk tugging at my lips. Good luck with your scheme, Shen Wanning. I hauled Xia Xian into the bathroom and lowered him into the tub, running cold water over his soaked white shirt, defined abs peeking through the damp fabric. Xia Xian's Adam's apple bobbed, soft, breathless moans slipping past his lips. I looked away awkwardly. Why did every villainess in these novels rely on drugging men? It felt terribly uncomfortable. I rinsed his forehead with cold water over and over until his fever faded completely. I let out a relieved breath, only to lock eyes with Xia Xian's sharp, teasing gaze when I lifted my head. Sang, what exactly are you doing? He wrapped a firm grip around my wrist. I kept my expression calm. Shen Wanning drugged your wine. I was cooling you down to sober you up. She's upstairs right now stealing your drug research files. I paused, urging him gently. Don't keep pouring your heart out for her. Shen Wanning doesn't love you. She only sees you as a pawn to manipulate. Xia Xian fell silent, then pulled me closer. Then why help me? Sang, are you fond of me? Warm breath fanned across my neck, the tub water rippling and sloshing over the edge, soaking my dress and chasing away the faint heat in my bones. I knew you wouldn't stop Shen Wanning on your own. I explained quickly. I'll help you strike Zhou Sihan with a fatal blow. Once Zhou falls, Shen Wanning will have no choice but to see who truly cares for her. The novel's plot was stubbornly hard to shift. Zhou Sihan had been destined to marry Shen Wanning no matter what twists arose. What about the loyal second male lead? Would he still see me as the scheming evil side character? I couldn't risk it. I could only leverage the heroine's universal charm trope to secure safety for brother and myself and pull Xia Xian out of his doomed fate too. Xia Xian stared at me for a long moment before releasing my wrist. His long eyelashes, damp with bathwater, fell to shadow his eyes, hiding his expression. At last he stepped out of the bathroom, tone calm and collected. Then let's keep our partnership strong. The next evening, I accompanied Xia Xian to the pharmaceutical conference gala. Shen Wanning sat pressed up against Zhou Sihan at the front table, cozy together like a loving couple. Her easy, greedy days were over. Ruin waited just around the corner. Zhou Sihan stood, straightening his tailored suit, and strode confidently onto the presentation stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Zhou Group has developed a groundbreaking new pharmaceutical formula. Let me walk you through our breakthrough innovation. Shen Wanning sat tall, nose tilted sky high, her entire posture screaming. Look how brilliant my man is. Are you jealous? Sleek presentation slides rolled across the screen as Jo Se-han delivered a passionate speech. The crowd fell dead silent. Guests exchanging confused, murmuring glances. That's exactly the new drug Xiaxian just launched. The core formula's identical down to the smallest detail. He stole their research. Shin Wanning shot up abruptly, hands planted on her hips, yelling, "Don't spread lies. This is our original creation." Jo Se-han's secretary sprinted onto the stage, whispering frantically in his ear. Xiaxian let out a quiet laugh, setting his teacup down. I sent mass reminder emails to every attendee the second the conference opened, attaching proof of our patent filing. Even if he stole the formula, he can't claim it as his own. I shook my head. He still has a trick left up his sleeve. The clock struck 8. The presentation slides cut abruptly, switching to a recorded video. On screen, Jo Se-han held Shin Wanning's hand as they stabbed a man to death. A wealthy matron in the crowd screamed, "My son," before collapsing unconscious from shock. Ji Chang, the furious head of the powerful Ji political family, shot to his feet, eyes blazing red. "Jo Se-han, you owe us an explanation. Now." Camera flashes exploded non-stop, throwing the ballroom into total chaos. Shin Wanning was knocked to the floor, screaming in pain. Xiaxian wrapped an arm around my shoulders, steering me safely through the panicking crowd. "Stay close, we're leaving first." The conference hall speakers looped Jo Se-han's cold threat on repeat. "Even a prestigious political clan like the J's can't touch me. I can buy endless scapegoats for any crime I commit." Reporters seethed with outrage, shouting questions about untouchable wealthy elites flouting the law without consequence. Jo Se-han's face blanched pale, genuine panic flickering across his features for the first time. A rat hiding in the dark couldn't stand exposed to open sunlight once his crimes were public. The backlash would burn him to ashes without mercy. That same night, police arrived to arrest both Jo Se-han and Shin Wanning. Shin Wanning fought violently against her handcuffs, screaming, "How dare you arrest us? This whole world was built for us. Woe do you think you are?" Everyone around her wrote it off as deranged ramblings from a broken woman. Xiaxian tapped his fingers against the steering wheel as we drove away, tone dry and teasing. "Murder charges mean Shin Wanning won't survive prison. Is this what you meant by sending her back to me?" Sweat prickled my palms. I forced a calm smile. "Karma catches up to everyone, doesn't it? I know you're a reasonable man, Mr. Xia." Xiaxian's gaze darkened. "What about Jo Se-han? He's right, can pay others to take the fall for him. What will you do if he rebuilds his power and comes for revenge?" He paused, voice sharp with a new realization. "Volunteer number 44, do you even value your own life?" I froze. Volunteer 44. What's that? Xiaxian gripped my wrist tight. Jaw tight. "Don't pretend you don't remember. Are you ashamed to know me?" I hurried to deny it. "No, I just..." Tiny flecks of emotion glinted in his eyes. "I hope you have a good reason for vanishing all those years." In the original novel, Shin Wanning had supposedly been the volunteer who visited Xiaxian during his 2 years in the psychiatric ward. The truth was far uglier. Shin Wanning had begged me, saying, "Senior year coursework is crushing me. These volunteer hours earn me extra points to guarantee admission to Huaqing University. You'll never get into a top school anyway, swap places with me. We look identical. No one will notice. It's only weekends." I'd wanted to refuse, but a strange foggy voice in my head had whispered, "Go. She's your elder sister, supporting her is your duty." Against my better judgment, I'd agreed. At the ward, I'd met a teenage girl traumatized by parental abuse, a 40-year-old man stuck with the mental capacity of a 7-year-old, and Xiaxian who hurt himself to escape his overwhelming despair. Looking at him, I'd seen the lonely, orphan 7-year-old version of myself. I'd realized I carried my own unhealed trauma too. I wasn't just a volunteer, I was another broken soul getting free therapy alongside him. For countless nights, Xiaxian and I had comforted each other through the dark. I'd drawn sunflowers all over the white ward walls with my left hand, telling him, "We'll see the sun again someday." We'd both walked out of that damp, hopeless place together. But the written plot had erased my part entirely. Painting Shenwanning as Xiaxian's sole savior and confidant. Yet now Xiaxian stared at me, resolute. Volunteer 44, why did you disappear for all those years? I stared back, stunned. I thought Volunteer 44 was Shenwanning. Xiaxian frowned deeply. Before I met you. A voice in my head forced me to believe Shenwanning was the girl I'd bonded with in the ward. I chased her mechanically, like a hollow puppet with no free will. But once I met you, the fog over my mind lifted. For the first time, I feel truly alive. Not just acting out a script. This lifetime, Xiaxian had broken free of the plot's control and gained real self-awareness. I'd altered the story enough to let the novel's trapped characters reclaim their own lives. This time, I squeezed Xiaxian's hand firmly back. I just didn't know how to explain why I left without a word all those years ago. Xiaxian's eyes reddened, just as they had in the ward years ago. Tugging at my heartstrings. We have a whole lifetime ahead of you to tell me everything slowly. My phone blared suddenly, breaking the tender moment. I pulled away awkwardly to answer. Brother's voice buzzed through the line, barely containing elation. Sang Sang found it. The final evidence to bury Zhou Sihan for good. A huge weight lifted off my chest. Soft moonlight spilled through the car windows over my shoulders. And I smiled faintly. You were worried about Zhou Sihan earlier. Xiaxian's gaze turned steady and protective. No matter what comes next. I'm right here with you. A warm swell of safety filled my chest. I blinked back stinging tears. Let's go gather the last pieces of evidence to lock Zhou Sihan away forever. I'd never imagined waking up to a brilliant golden sunrise. Salt sea breeze wrapping around me fresh and cool, nor had I expected Xiaxian to grow so shamelessly clingy. Why slather body lotion when we're not leaving the house today? Xiaxian pulled his hand back, eyes glistening like a wronged puppy. I ignored him and asked, what's Zhou Sihan's final sentence? Xiaxian sat up straight, huffing, death penalty. Though how did you know where he hid his illegal human trial lab? I hooked a finger under his chin, grinning teasingly. Want to find out? Beg me nicely. Xiaxian's earlobes flushed pink. Adam's apple bobbing. Can I beg for one more thing too? I blinked, curious. What? Xiaxian pulled out a velvet ring box from nowhere. A sparkling diamond band nestled inside. Beg you to marry me. Seagulls cried overhead as mist rolled away from the ocean. I stared. Voice gone dry. You've been hiding secret savings. Xiaxian panicked, rushing to explain. It's not hidden cash, let me explain. That night, my phone rang again. Brother's tone was grim. Shenwanning survived her trial. She swore every crime was Zhou Sihan's coercion. Screaming nonstop that she's the story's main heroine, ruler of this whole world. They ruled her legally insane and committed her to a psychiatric hospital. I gazed up at the full moon, murmuring softly, Happy Mid-Autumn Festival, brother. Brother paused. Then laughed gently. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Sang Sang. This same moon had watched brother and me die freezing in the mountains in my past life. Now it bore witness to our second chance. Our new beginning. I spoke quietly into the phone. The CF family owns a psychiatric facility Shenwanning there. She'll live out her days repenting for everything she's done. Let her watch this world that belongs to her reveal its true reality without her plot armor to protect her. Oh, and Aunt Wu wanted me to pass along her thanks. The heart surgeon you found cured her daughter. She can eat 3 full bowls of rice per meal now. It warmed my heart to hear everyone finally safe and well. Xiaxian pried the phone out of my grip, ending the call. His voice low and warm. Now it's my turn for your full attention.